everyone, I'm Maria. I'm a property manager here in the Twin Cities with Cobalt Property Management, and I'm here to answer your questions about RUBS or Ratio Utility Billing System. RUBS is a method for allocating utility costs to tenants. In the past, how tenants would pay utilities is they would either have a meter to their home and they would pay a utility bill directly to the servicer, or utilities would just be included in their rent. This is a way of managing utility costs and then splitting up the full cost of the utility efficiently between the landlord and the tenants. So, why would you choose RUBS? Well, it's a fair and efficient way of managing costs, and it helps everyone be mindful of utility usage. Usually, when landlords start RUBS system, they find that their full utility costs overall go down about 20 to 30%. When everybody's conscious of what they're paying for utilities, they're more mindful for what they're using when it comes to natural resources. The full cost goes down and it's fair and efficient across the board. So, Minnesota passed regulation this year, 2025. It started January 1st of 2025. So I'm here to answer questions on how the system is regulated as far as costs and how they're allocated, and then a few of the other things that were included in the law. So first of all, calculating RUBS. It's different depending on what utility you're charging for. So for example, the gas bill, that's allocated based on square footage. So, for example, we have a triplex that we manage in Minneapolis. And so, in order to do a RUBS calculation, we needed to go physically to the property to do measurements. Now, if you have a blueprint for the property, that's helpful. In this specific instance, it had been broken up into different units throughout the years, and so we didn't really have accurate data. So we chose to go physically to the property and do some measurements. So we measured all 3 units, and then we also measured the common areas. The common areas are called a common area deduction. That is not able to be calculated and apportioned to a tenant. So the part that a tenant pays is called an apportionment. The part that the landlord pays is called a common area deduction, or CAD. So in this instance, we have property management software. So we're able to enter in the square footage into our system, and then our software system then allocates percentages to each tenant and to the landlord. So what happens is we get the gas bill, we enter it in the system, the bill, it goes into our accounting system, so then we pay it. The management company is in charge of paying the utility bill, and it stays in our name or the landlord's name. It's not in the tenant's name. What our software system does then is it allocates their apportionment and it adds them to their ledger so they can pay it along with their rent. So say the larger unit may have 50% of the bill, another unit has 30, another unit has 10, and then that last 10%, that's the common area deduction for the stairwells, the hallways, the entryway, the basement. That's all included as final square footage, and then everybody splits the bill entirely. Water is different. Water goes off of occupancy. So say we have a family of 4 in one unit, 2 people in another, and then 1 person in another. Instead of allocating the bill based on the square footage, it's allocated by person. So each person is paying a percentage of the bill. Same thing happens. The water utility stays in our name and we're responsible for paying it. So we receive the bill, we enter it in our system, we pay it, and then the residents get charges that equal the cost of the bill plus common area deduction. A common area deduction in the water instance isn't off of square footage, it's off of common area water. So that would include laundry, that would include sprinkler or irrigation system, that could include a pool if there is one. All of those things have to be calculated and then included in this common area deduction in this algorithm. So then everybody is paying their fair portion. Trash was not included in the Minnesota regulations. It's not as common to include trash as RUBS utility, but it can be done. And then electricity, is not allowed to be included in a RUBS system. Electricity has to be billed off of usage, and it fluctuates so much depending on the tenant that you're just really not able to do ratio utility billing systems for it. So in that case, they would either need to have a separate meter for their apartment, and if they don't, it needs to be included in their rent. Some of the other things that were included in the law that weren't related to calculations were fees. You are able to charge fees for some of these services, but they are capped. So if you're charging an admin fee, that needs to be capped at $8. And if you're charging a late fee for any of the utilities, it would need to be capped at $5. Now, like I said, we have a software system that sets all this stuff up for us. We're a property management company, and we use software for all of our billing. And so for us, it's fairly easy to calculate, providing we have the algorithm correct to begin with. You can do it on your own. You could use a spreadsheet and do the calculations monthly. You would just need to make sure that your calculations are clear and efficient and a tenant is able to understand them. Or there are outside services that you can hire that will do the calculations for you. And then a lot of times they will charge an admin fee back to the tenant, so it's less expensive for you. The other part of the regulation that was passed includes specific wording regarding how the utility bills are allocated. So at least for us, for our management system, we have a separate addendum that includes wording that is very specific on how everything is calculated with examples. And the wording is right in the Minnesota state statute. So if you're able to look that up, you're able to see the wording that you need to include in an addendum so tenants understand how you're allocating the cost. And then also it requires that all tenants are able to see the actual utility bills. So not just their portion, the bill that you're receiving from the utility company. In our software system, we're able to just upload the bills directly to our system, and then we have an option to share that document with our tenants. All of our tenants and owners have their own online portal, so they can log in on their phone. They can scroll down to documents, and then under documents, we've just shared all of the utility bills, and they're able to see in real time the bill that we received, and then they understand the portion that they're paying. And then the other part of the new regulations are very specific that landlords are not allowed to disconnect utilities based on non-payment. Sounds a little counterintuitive. If you think it through, the utility bills are still in your name. So the landlord or the property manager is still responsible for the bills themselves. So you still need to pay it regardless of if your tenants pay it. There are other legal channels that you can use to get costs back from a tenant. So it would just be like if you were following any other legal proceeding to get costs for damages, missed rent, fees, etc. That's how you would treat those costs. You would not be able to just go over and disconnect the gas service because both the tenants in your duplex decided not to pay. So that's essentially the RUBS regulations and the system. Like I said, I really like the RUBS system. When it first came out, I was a little wary. I didn't quite understand it. But when I realized that when everyone's mindful of the utilities that they're using, the natural resources and what we use, it goes way, way down. And it's just a fair way of everybody paying their portion. Like I said, we have a pretty good system with our management company for calculating RUBS and being fair and equitable to everyone. So I do recommend getting a property manager to help you with this if this is something that you're interested in doing. We're in the Twin Cities. We're Cobalt Property Management. Lots of our owners use the RUBS system now. Because it's regulated, it's easy to set up for us. Our website is www.cobaltmanagers.com, or you can email me at maria@cobaltmanagers.com and let me know if you guys have any more questions. I'm absolutely happy to answer them. Until next time.